Alright guys, welcome back to another Opera Omnia video where we are going to be talking about Auron, who shall be receiving his LD weapon with the release of Boss Rush number 6. Now this Boss Rush is going to be a bit different because with this Boss Rush, normally we would have 50 actions per party when going up against the enemies, but this time it's going to only be 30 actions when you choose the very hard plus difficulty in this coming boss rush. So things are going to be a little bit different and things are going to be harder for some players, but to those who do have the correct characters, it shouldn't be too much of an issue with this boss rush. But with this upcoming boss rush, we do have Auron, who's going to be getting his LD weapon, and we're going to be talking about what his LD weapon does, and of course my opinions and thoughts in the should you pull portion of the video. So with that being said, if you guys do enjoy the video, consider liking the video and subscribing for future Opera Omnia content. Let's go ahead and jump into it, guys. Let's talk about Auron's LD weapon. So Auron's LD ability is called Tornado. It has a max usage of 4, and it is a defense ignoring 5-hit AoE melee brave plus an AoE HP attack dealt 2 times, and it deals split HP damage. Now, you guys already know how I feel about defense ignoring abilities. I think they are a very powerful mechanic to have whenever a unit has it, because that way you will be able to deal extra brave damage whenever you are attacking. Now, with this ability though, it does inflict 2 debuffs onto the enemy, and it also grants 2 buffs, 1 to Auron and 1 to your teammates. So with the debuffs, one of the new debuffs that we're going to be talking about is Full Break. Now with this one, whenever he uses LD ability, he is able to inflict it onto the enemy for 6 actions. And what it does is that it has a brave damage down, an HP damage down, an HP damage resist down, and a melee brave damage resist down. So what that means is basically, as long as his debuff is active, Auron will be able to deal extra brave damage and extra HP damage when he attacks, which is really good because it's going to help him out with the counters that you are also going to be getting with this LD ability. The other debuff is the melee resist down. I think most of us know what that means. Basically, anybody who deals any type of melee attacks, whether it be sword abilities, you will be doing weakness damage onto them, which is great because that's extra brave damage that you will be able to deal. Now, the 2 buffs that he grants, which the first one, Time to Shape Your Stories, this one lasts for 12 actions. Now this one right here, whenever attacking a target afflicted with debuffs, it doesn't matter what debuffs, it doesn't have to be what Auron inflicts on the enemies, you get, or Auron gets, a 50% brave damage delta and a 20% HP damage delta. You also get a 80% brave damage taken reduction. So that means that whenever Auron gets hit, he will be reducing the amount of brave damage that the enemy is going to be hitting him with. He also has an HP regen. He also has a 20% stolen brave max brave overflow limit up. Now, after an HP attack, he recovers brave to himself based on 20% of the total HP damage dealt, and this only occurs once per turn. When the HP is at least 50%, he is unable to be incapacitated by an enemy attack and he is left with 1 HP, so he does have last stand as long as this buff is active. And whenever he receives a brave or HP attack, he does trigger the counter, which is a defense ignoring 4-hit AoE melee brave plus an HP attack, and it does deal split HP damage. He also recovers HP to himself based on 50% of the total HP damage dealt, with a recovery limit of 35% of his max HP, and he does inflict 6 actions of the Full Break debuff to our enemies. So if by chance the enemies all of a sudden decide, hey, we're gonna cleanse everything, that doesn't matter to Auron, because like if he is covering an attack that was supposed to go to one of your teammates and he attacks afterwards with his counter attack, then he will inflict that Full Break buff debuff. And you know, whenever he attacks afterwards, then he'll be able to take advantage of all of the benefits from this one debuff. Now, the other buff that he grants himself, which is called Sentinel, hopefully I pronounced that right. If I didn't, I apologize. So with this, Auron will take the hit for single target attacks received. So he will not take the hit for AoE moves, sadly. So you know, that comes on later on with another unit, but that's like way down the line. You know, if you guys know who I'm talking about, let me know in the comment section below. But he will take the hit for single target attack. So that means that once he takes the hit for his teammates, then he will go on and the counter ability of his will trigger. Also, he gets an 80% defense up, a 30% brave damage taken reduction. So that's another add-on. So really you're getting in total of 110% brave damage taken reduction, which is great. And he also gets a HP regen based on 10% of his max HP. Now, another little add-on to talk about Auron's LD ability is that whenever you fully max out his LD weapon, his brave attack, as long as you have the time to shape your stories buff active, it turns into brave attack plus, which recovers brave to the party based on 70% of Auron's attack, and it's a 3-hit melee brave attack. Auron's call ability, whenever you use his call ability, which does inflict the full break debuff onto the enemies for 4 actions, and also inflicts 3 actions of the melee resist down to all enemies. And of course, with this right here, it is a little bit different in terms of the benefits that you get from the debuff, because with that full break debuff, you get a 30% brave damage dealt and HP damage dealt down, and a 5% HP damage received up, and a 20% melee brave damage received up. So the percentages are a little bit different compared to what you actually get when you have Auron in your team comps. So now we get to the point in the video where you guys decide whether or not it is worth pulling for Auron's LD weapon based on what you have heard so far with his LD ability. Now, Auron is definitely one that a lot of players have been waiting on ever since this month came, because of the fact that he is very much a well-received tank. He is very reliable in terms of reducing brave damage, HP damage onto himself, and he is also able to protect his teammates against single target attacks, and he does have that great counter too. The fact that he also now has last stand, so he is able to take on any nasty hits, and he is able to counter and heal himself at the same time, really does help him out in fights that deal some very heavy HP damage or just consistent amount of HP attacks. So if you are needing a strong tank who is not only able to inflict the melee resist down, which to my knowledge, he is the only character that is able to inflict the melee resist down in this game, and who is able to counter, who is able to protect your teammates against single target attacks, Auron is definitely a solid option to have. And then of course, based on what he has with his overall kit, he does inflict other debuffs like initial brave down, max brave down. He does also make it that with his C65, he is able to increase his brave damage when dealing weakness damage, and then with his EX ability, he does gives himself a physical attack up, if I am not mistaken. But like, Auron is definitely one that a lot of people are going to be going after. I mean, the only other reasons why the only reasons really that I could see as to why people would not pick up Auron is either, you know, just being low on resources, or the fact that they feel comfortable with some of the tanks that they got going on right now. Auron can also be very convenient when going up against enemies who do jump the turn order, because if they do attack, Auron will be able to counter back, especially to those enemies who are going to be getting multiple turns. At least you have a chance in breaking the enemies, especially if they don't cleanse their debuffs and they have the melee resist down inflicted on them. Then best believe you have a higher chance of Auron actually being able to break them, and hopefully breaking up how the turn order is looking, so that way if you run into a tight situation, then at least you know you have a chance to get back up on your feet. Now, in terms of longevity, Auron did recently get his C90. He got his FR boards from the FR era that we are in JP right now. And best believe Auron is freaking insane. He got an upgrade to his counters. He got changes to his overall kit, seeing as how he is not getting a rework with the release of his LD weapon on Global. And he has become a very top tier tank in JP DFFOO as of today that I'm recording this video. So like, if you're wondering how he's going to perform way later on into the C90 era, once he gets to C90, he is insanely good. Even after this boss rush event, Auron will still be good, and I can see many players using him in many team comps just because of how good his overall kit is and how he can benefit team comps. So, you know, if you're wondering, should you pull for Auron now or hold off until his C90, I would say pick up his LD now if you do have the resources, and if you don't plan or if you don't have any other plans on pulling on any other unit aside from, like, let's say the next pair of BT units, then I would highly recommend pulling for Auron's LD weapon, because it will be a big benefit to your team comps and to future Lufenia fights. So other than that though, guys, I mean, that's gonna be it for the video. Let me know what you guys thoughts are on Auron with his LD ability, and you know, let me know if you're going to be pulling for his LD weapon once the banners drop. Other than that though, guys, if you did enjoy the video, consider liking the video and subscribing for future Opera Omnia content. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in my next video.